Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. Hello, Year 5. Um, I trust everything is still okay and you're still being helpful and good at home. And of course, we're all still missing you. I've seen Mrs. Phillips a few times on the Zooms and all the other members of staff as well. And the thing that unites us all is wondering when we'll get to see you all, because we do, every last one of us misses you. So uh, we just got to keep on doing this for a little while, and hopefully it won't be too long before we see you. Right, okay. I'm here to talk about this week's writing tasks. So there's me, pop down into the corner, and we're going to be authors again this week. And I was trying to think about how we would make it a little bit more different. So I'm going to support you this week with a couple of videos and possibly a third one as well, if I can persuade a special guest to appear. I'm still waiting for them to email me back. And yeah, so there's going to be two videos definitely, and they're going to cover what we're doing in day 1 and 2, and then a second video covering what we're doing in day 3 and 4. So after I finish day 1, you might decide, okay, that's enough, and pause me, so you know you can go back the following day, or you might go all the way through. Up to you completely. But anyway, we're going to be authors, and I thought we'd try and be as creative as possible because you guys are very creative. So I thought we'd try and do it. Okay, so let me have a look. I've got a mouse now, which makes things life a lot easier. Okay, so day 1. On the next slide, you'll see a picture. This picture will form the basis for our writing this week. Now, I've already gone through this, and I'm pretty pleased with what I've written. So it's a challenge to you to see if you can make it even better than mine. Of course, you can magpie stuff all the time to make yours as well, but let's just see. So each day, we're going to break it up into a small piece of writing. And so if we do that, by the end of the week, you should have your own masterpiece. So I'm going to give you a little brief input on each day, what I'm expecting, and some ideas for those of you who need it. Some of you might go, oh, well, I've got lots of my own ideas. I don't want Mr. Davies blaring on to me when I can just crack on with it. That's fine, but I think it would help all of you just to go with me and see how I did it. So, as I say, day 1, we're going to be describing the scene and the characters in an opening. Day 2, we're going to use our writing skills to write a conversation between the characters. Day 3, bit of a clue. What do they find in the tunnel? And day 4, how do they get out, or do they get out of the tunnel? And on day 5, as always, probably the most important day, edit and improve our work. So here we go. Let's have a look at the picture. Ready for the big reveal. Here it is. And there we go. There is the reveal. Probably would be better if we did this in the winter, but I love this picture. What can we see? Yeah, everybody take a little moment, have a look at our characters. Here is some very dark tunnel. Okay. So, before we start writing, what I'd like you to do is to think very carefully about what's happening. Before you can write anything, you've got to start to think about who these people are. That for me was quite difficult. Are they family? Are they friends? Are they grandparents and grandchild? Are they mother, father, and child? Are they complete strangers? That's entirely up to you. Where do you think it is? Does it matter where it is? Are they nearby us? Is this in this country? Is it set somewhere else? What are their names? I don't get too hung up on their names. Daniel, I don't want you to call it Jeff, okay? Or anybody else from Roadblocks or Minecraft or Star Wars. Because if you decide to call them Anakin, then it kind of spoils it a bit. So can we just make up some names. You'll see what I used, and make sure you use all your senses to describe what's going on. So I thought that was quite a tricky thing to do. So I thought I would show you what I did. And I decided that these three were friends. And they have got the names of Arthur, that's Arthur. This is Gretchen, and this is Mimi. So I was quite pleased with my choice of names. So here we are. Here is what I wrote. Whistling softly through the tunnel, the wind cut through the three figures that braced themselves against the cold. Around them, the snow continued to swirl and now reached to their ankles. However, the bitter weather was nothing compared to their fear and trepidation that they knew they had to overcome if their journey was to continue. Before them lay the tunnel, its mouth open, ready to swallow them whole. Hanging in the night air was the smell of decay. It could only be coming from one place. As the feeble lamplight flickered, casting weak shadows around them, they waited for someone to break the silence. Right, okay, so I'm definitely trying to start all my sentences in different ways, of a variety of different openers. I'm trying to start with verbs, whistling, hanging, and conjunctions as well, so before and as, however, and perhaps even a few other things that we could put in there as well, different starters. So you can steal some of that, or you can do it entirely your own. So I've chosen to be three friends who have to go through the tunnel. That was my thing. They're going into the tunnel. I think that if you stick to that idea of going into the tunnel, it will help a lot. Okay, so the next slide, day 2, we're going to write a conversation. So down here we got Gretchen and Arthur and, going to move me up there so you can see it better, and Mimi. So I've zoomed in a bit so you can see that they're probably having a conversation, judging by the way that Mimi is looking up and using her hand to point. So we're going to focus on the dialogue, the speech between the three characters. So it's really important that we decide what could they be discussing, or could they be having a disagreement? They could be having an argument. That's quite difficult to write arguments. So I would think it's more likely for me, that they would be discussing something. But most importantly today, again, we have to remember the rules of speech, which I'm sure you can all recall. So whatever is spoken goes inside the inverted commas. Remember, we call them inverted commas. Other people might call them speech marks, but if we're going to be brilliant authors, we need to start calling them inverted commas all the time. Speech always starts with a capital letter and has punctuation inside the inverted commas, not after it. The one that many of you continue to forget: new speaker, new line. And then, just to make it more exciting for me, the reader, use synonyms, words that can replace said. So cried, whispered, groaned. Yes, Susie used groaned in some of her work last week. Thank you, Susie. Or murmured. So any of those. So this is what I wrote for their conversation. I think it's good. Ooh. The three strange friends cautiously approached the tunnel entrance. The snow softly crunched like muffled cereals beneath their tentative feet. You first, spoke Arthur, looking past the others and trying to sound confident. Neither of his friends answered, partly through fear, but more because they were both unsure who the order had been aimed at. Well, it isn't going to be me, came the response from Gretchen. Being the oldest, she was confident the others would not push her too much on this point. Shifting nervously from one foot to the other, Mimi scoured her brain, desperate for a reason why it should not be she who had to first set foot into the unknown. Age and size was not going to work. It rarely did these days, not since the others had recognised her qualities of courage and determination. OK then. Her voice trembled for a moment, perhaps giving away how exactly she felt. If you two aren't up for it, it looks like I will be the only one with the necessary heart. Ooh, I like it. I'm pleased with that, says Mr. Davies, patting himself on the back. Right, so that's my creative writing for day 1 and day 2. See how you get on. I haven't written a lot, but what I've done is spend some time thinking carefully about what it is I'm trying to do. I did a lot of editing as I went back and forth, trying to think of words that would improve my writing, and actually taking out quite a bit as well. So I've tried to put, different length sentences in for effect, and I've used, commas to extend sentences. Right, over to you. I look forward to hearing how you get on and seeing those that get posted onto the Padlet. Okay, and I will see you for day 3 and day 4. Bye.